Hello, and welcome to today's video. I am so excited for today's video because we are going to be talking about all things 2025 book releases. This is like one of my favorite things ever. I love hearing about new books that are coming out, and that's what I want to do today is share some of the ones that I'm most excited about with you guys. Honestly, this might be kind of a long video because at the end of the video, we're going to be mentioning a couple book to movie or book to TV show adaptations that I'm very excited for, and just like ones that I saw online for books that I haven't read yet that I was also intrigued with. Anyways, I have all my notes here about the new releases that are coming out. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so we're actually going to be starting off this video in February. When I was looking at the books coming out in January, there weren't really any that necessarily caught my eye or caught my interest. So we're just gonna be starting with the books that are coming out in February. And there are actually 4 coming out on February 4th that intrigued me, to say the least. So the first one is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I think the title for this book was supposed to be Wet, which low-key disappointed that it's not called that, but I can also understand why they decided against that. But I'm very excited for this one. I think it's a maybe enemies to lovers, I can't remember, but it's between a swimmer and a diver in college, and I think it's just supposed to be steamy and great. And I really have liked Ali Hazelwood's newer releases. I think her original books just weren't really my thing. I just feel like they were so science heavy, and I'm just not a STEM girl. So I'm very intrigued with this book though. I've never read a book where it's like a swimmer diver romance type thing, so I'm very intrigued. Next book that's coming out that day is by TJ Klune, and that is The Bones Beneath My Skin. I don't know anything about this book. In general, with the TJ Klune books that I've read, which I've read 2 I believe at this point, they're all just kind of about like found family and dealing with just really hard things in life, but in, I don't know, in like a cozy and loving way, I guess. His books are very character driven, which I really appreciate because that's like one of my favorite things in books is when they're really character driven. So I'm sure I'll enjoy this book if I end up wanting to pick it up. Next book I am so excited about, and that is Datings and Dragons by Christy Boyce. I read my first Christy Boyce book last year around February. That was Dungeons and Drama, which is actually the first book in this series. It's a YA romance series. I don't know how many there's gonna be, but I absolutely loved that first book that I read by her. I cannot wait to continue the series or just read more of her books. I think I've read every single book she's come out with so far, and I'm just pretty much obsessed. I love the way she writes about her characters. I love her YA romances. I believe that's the main genre she focuses on. That's all I've read from her, but very excited about this book. I think it's gonna be so cute, and yes. And finally, the last book coming out on February 4th is All Better Now by Neal Shusterman. Neal Shusterman is the author of the Scythe trilogy, which is a book series that I really loved. I have actually been rereading it. I reread the first 2 this past year as well, and I just didn't get to the 3rd book yet, but I do still want to reread that. But this book, I don't know if it's the start of a new series or if it's just a standalone, but when I researched it a little bit, it sounds like it's kind of like a dystopian where it's like the government is wanting all the citizens to be like sad, and those that contain happiness in the society, the government is like coming after them or something. Like, I don't really know the premise, but I think he's such a good author. I think it could be interesting to read if I'm in the dystopian mood, which sounds crazy. I saw that he was coming out with a new book, could maybe be interested, and yes. And the last book coming out in February is one I'm super excited about, and that is Rebel Witch by Kristen Ciccarelli. I don't know how you say her last name, I'm so sorry. But I read Heartless Hunter last year, and I actually really liked it, and I was super surprised how much I liked it. This is the last book in that series, so it's just a duology, and I was just so surprised I liked Heartless Hunter as much as I did. I gave it 5 stars. I just in general have never really been a like romantic-y person. I feel like I'm just sometimes really picky with it, and I just really liked Heartless Hunter. So I'm excited to see how the book series is going to wrap up. All right, and now to March. March, on March 4th, we have a new book by Ava Reed, and that is Fable for the End of the Wicked. I read my first Ava Reed book this past year. Actually read two. I read A Study in Drowning and Lady Macbeth, and Lady Macbeth was one of my favorite books of the entire year. I absolutely loved that book. So now I feel like Ava Reed is an auto-buy author for me, and that meaning I'll just purchase whatever book she releases. So I'm very excited for this one. In the pitch for it on Goodreads, it said something about, I think like The Last of Us meets Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, something like that, and that just sounded very intriguing to me. I love the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and that angst or whatever level is in that, maybe like betrayal is in this. I'm really not sure, but nevertheless, I do want to read it. I love her writing so much, and I'll pretty much read whatever she puts out. And on the same day, March 4th, is the third book in the Legendborn series by Tracy Deonn, and that is Oathbound. I forget how many books are supposed to be in this series. Okay, it looks like there's going to be four books. So this is the third. I reread Legendborn actually this past summer because it used to be one of my favorite fantasy series, and I just forgot why it was my favorite, like one of my favorites for a while. So I reread it this summer, and I didn't love it as much as I used to, but that doesn't mean I don't think I'll enjoy my time with it again. So I do want to read the third book. I don't know like when I'll get to it, but it's exciting that it's coming out because I think Bloodmarked came out 2 or 3 years ago. So it's been a bit since the series continued. But yeah, I'm interested. I do like her writing. Especially for this series, I really like the audiobooks. We will see. Next, March 18th, a day that I'm sure so many people are looking forward to, and that is because the new Suzanne Collins book is coming out, Sunrise on the Reaping. I am a late bloomer Hunger Games stan. I definitely jumped on the bandwagon when Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out. I loved that book. I loved that movie. I mean, I always liked watching the movies when I was younger, but I just never got into reading the books for some reason. I think just because I think the movies are so good, I'm like, I don't need to read the books. But I actually read the first book, The Hunger Games, maybe a couple months ago, and I absolutely loved it. So I do want to finish the original trilogy, maybe before this book comes out. We'll see how I do on that. But I think this book, I don't know if it's confirmed yet that it's from Haymitch's point of view. I know there was like a quote from the book posted, and it was a quote from Haymitch, but I think we're not sure exactly if it's only going to be Haymitch's point of view or if it's going to be like other point of views as well. So I don't know yet, but I'm very excited. And then the movie comes out November 2026 or something, so very excited for that as well, but that's a long ways away. I'm talking so much. I need like water. All right, now on to April, and on April 1st, April Fool's Day, we love it, is a new book by Abby Jimenez, and it's Say You'll Remember Me. I've read a few Abby Jimenez books in the past, not the past, I think it was just this summer is when I read my first one. I read Yours Truly, and did I even finish Part of Your World? I don't know, but I was told I read it in a weird order, so Yours Truly was fine. I definitely want to give her another shot because I know so many people love her and compare her to Emily Henry, and I love Emily Henry, so I definitely want to give her another shot. I think this book is a continuation of her newer series. I think the book that came out last year, was it Just for the Summer or something? Is that right? I think so. But no, I think this book is continuing that series, and I don't know what it's about. I don't really like knowing what romance books are about before I read them, but yeah, that book's coming out. I don't really know what else to say. Maybe I'll read it. The cover is so cute, so we will see. Okay, next book that's coming out is by Olivia Blake, and that is Gifted and Talented. I have yet to read an Olivia Blake book. Did not read Atlas 6, didn't read One for My Enemy. There's so many books that come out. I feel like what scares me about her is that I just feel like a lot of her books for people have been very hit or miss, and that's what kind of scares me. But I should definitely give her a shot and form an opinion of my own. This one, when I was reading the premise, it kind of sounded like it was a little bit like Succession, but with like magical abilities. And it's with these like 3 siblings after their father dies, and I think they're trying to figure out who inherits the magical abilities. At least that's what I got from the gist of the synopsis, which sounds super cool. And I feel like this book, out of all the other books that she's written, this premise sounds the most interesting to me. So we'll see on that. And the final book coming out on April 1st is Holy Terrors by Margaret Owen. This is the third and I believe final book in the Little Thieves trilogy. I don't know how to feel about this book because I don't know how to feel about this series. I absolutely loved Little Thieves when it came out, and I absolutely hated Painted Devils when it came out. So I really don't know about this series. I feel like I do just want to finish it and try to just like take Painted Devils from my mind. I don't want to think about that book because I hated it so much. We will see. I don't know the premise because I cannot remember how the last book ended. It's overall like the first book was so good, I'd recommend it to everyone, but the second book just really disappointed me, so I guess I'm just not sure how to feel about what's it called, Holy Terrors. So yeah, we'll see. April 22nd is Emily Henry Day. I'm sure we're all looking forward to it. It's the best day of the year. Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry is coming out. I don't know anything about it. I think I heard her say in like an interview that it's similar, or like the plot is similar to the next Great American Great American Dynasty. What's the Taylor Swift song? Is it the next Great American Dynasty or is it the Great American Dynasty? I can't remember, but apparently it's similar to like the lyrics in that song. So we'll see. That made me even more confused about the premise, to be honest, but it's Emily Henry. I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna love it. So enough said. All right, moving on to May, we have two books coming out on May 6th. There are two that I'm actually really excited for. The first is What Happens in Amsterdam by Rachel Lynn Solomon. Rachel Lynn Solomon has been an author. I need to keep my background going. Rachel Lynn Solomon has been an author that I've really loved in the past, especially her YA books. It's more on her like adult books that I haven't loved. Her last one, though, Business or Pleasure, I actually did really like that one. So this book is in fact an adult book. So for that reason, I'm a little nervous, but I am very excited about the premise. So I believe it's this girl, she used to have a Dutch exchange student living with her family when she was in high school, I believe. And I think they had some form of friendship, or maybe more than friendship, when they were living together. But she ends up going back to Amsterdam and meeting up with him, and I think things go from there. I'm very excited. I think this will be really fun. I know the author now lives in Amsterdam, but yeah, I'm interested in this book. I think it'll be cute. All right, the next book is probably my most anticipated read of next year, and that is The Strength of the Few by James Islington. I read The Will of the Many by James Islington last year, early last year, I believe, or this year, I guess. We're still in 2024. I read it early 2024. I read it with my two best friends and we all were obsessed with it, still are. And the ending of that book was so insane, and it was like such a big plot twist that I had no idea that's where we were going in the book, that I cannot wait to read the second book. I know it's gonna take me so long because if you've read this book, you know like the terminology in it is kind of difficult to understand, at least for me. Like some of the names in this book series, I get so confused by sometimes, and I like forget who's who, and I literally have to like rethink about which character did whatever and try to do like a whole like character map in my head. You too? No? Okay, there's me. Cool. I'm very excited for that book. I don't know what's gonna happen in it. It's just a continuation of The Will of the Many, which is such a good adult fantasy series. It has such amazing world building in this series that is just something I never really appreciated in a book series. Next on May 20th is a new book by Catherine Center, and that is The Love Haters. I don't know what this book is about. I've read two Catherine Center books. I read The Bodyguard, which I really liked, and Hello Stranger, which I really did not like. And I think The Rom-Commers was her release last year, which I didn't end up picking up. Yeah, I don't know what this book is about necessarily. Like I said, I don't really like knowing what romance books are about. If I can guess from the title, The Love Haters, I'm guessing two individuals who just don't believe in love, but then they meet each other and maybe there's fake dating. This feels like it's gonna be fake dating. I'm reaching here. I have no idea what this book is about. I really liked The Bodyguard and I want to give her another chance. So we'll see if it's a 2 out of 3 for the books that I like of hers. All right, the next book that's coming out is coming out on May 20th, and that is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I haven't read a Rachel Gillig book before. I know, don't kill me. I've been trying to read One Dark Window for I think 2 years at this point, and I don't know why I can't get into it. I feel like every time I try to start it, I get in a massive reading slump. I don't know what to do about it. It sounds like it's gonna be up my alley, and I don't think it's the book's fault at all because I'm very interested in the book. It's like, I believe One Dark Window, it's like a gothic romantasy? Or is it just a gothic fantasy? I don't really know. But it sounds interesting, and I don't know why I can't get into it. Anyways, but The Night and the Moth, I believe, is a gothic actual romantasy. I think One Dark Window might have a romance subplot, but I don't know if it's super romance heavy. And as I mentioned before, the romantasy category hasn't really been my favorite in the past, but I am intrigued to try it. The premise when I read it sounded interesting. I know people really like her as an author, so could see myself giving it a shot. Okay, moving on to June. June 3rd, we have a new Taylor Jenkins Reid book. Finally, like it's been how many years since Carrie Soto came out? Honestly, I did not love that book. I've really liked all of her other books for the most part. Like Daisy Jones and the Six is one of my favorite books of all time. So I do love her writing. I love her series where she does like different decades. That's what Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones and the Six, Malibu Rising, and Carrie Soto, those were all kind of like different decades that she focused on. It's like such a fun way to write about historical times in life, but also in a way where you're also caring about these characters that truly aren't real. So this book, I believe, takes place in the 80s, and it's called Atmosphere. From the premise, it was something like the woman in it works at NASA, and that's kind of all I got from that. I don't know. With her books, I feel like, again, I don't really need to know a lot about what's going on. I'm just gonna be along for the ride. Tell me the story. I'll most likely enjoy it. I really don't know what it's about. NASA in the 80s. All right, on June 10th, there is a new V.E. Schwab book coming out, and it's called Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I really like V.E. Schwab as an author. I've read the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy, Addie LaRue, and I also read Vicious by her as well. I've loved all those books so much, so I'll pretty much read whatever she comes out with now, and I'll just read the synopsis because it's very short. Three young women, their bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangling like roots. One grows high and one grows deep, and one grows wild, and all of them grow teeth. Like, that just sounds so scary, but it sounds really good. I don't know. I feel like she's such a good writer. She's really able to tell like dark elements in stories. I don't really like books that are super dark and twisted and stuff, but I feel like she writes about it in a digestible way, if that makes sense. All right, June 17th, Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. I've only read one Ashley Poston book. I read The 7-Year Slip by her. Oh wait, no, I read Dead Romantics. Forgot about that. So I've read 2 books by her, and I tried getting into a novel love story. I want to try reading it again. I just got into a reading slump, so I might try that again. I really want to. But this book, I believe it's a musician. Yeah, it's a songwriter and a bitter musician share a startling and inexplicable connection that they'll do anything to shake. Oh, love it. I love in her books there's a lot of like magical realism as well. I think that just adds a different and fun dimension to her books. We'll see about that one. Sounds really cute. I love the cover of her books too. I feel like, I know she probably doesn't have a say in it, but I love how colorful all of her book covers are. All right, now on to July. We have a book called The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley. I've never read anything from this author. I was looking at books that were coming out in 2025, and I thought this cover was so cute. I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I thought it was in a positive way I judged it, so I feel like that cancels it out. This one says, the first in a slow burn enemies to lovers romantasy duology featuring a scholarly healer. Why can't I say that? Featuring a scholarly healer and a gentleman assassin, set in an exquisite fantasy world, perfect for fans of the Love Hypothesis and Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Sounds cute. It's on my list. And next on July 15th, we have Medievally Blonde by Kate Jacobs. The cover for this, so adorable. I'm obsessed with it. But not only that, it was pitched as like a medieval times Legally Blonde, and that sold it for me. I think that sounds really fun. I don't know a lot about it. Just fun little romance, maybe fantasy. I don't know if there's magic in it, but set in medieval times. could be really fun. Also on July 15th is The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Don't know at all what this book is about. I read Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia and I absolutely love that. It's so creepy and spooky, and like actually I think about that book all the time. The premise of this book says that there are 3 women in 3 different eras encounter danger and witchcraft in this eerie multi-generational horror saga. This one, like, I definitely have to be in the right mood for it because I don't want to get like terrified. I don't know like how much of a horror it's gonna be, because like Mexican Gothic I feel like was the perfect type of horror. I don't know, I wasn't like scared for my life, but I was spooked. We'll see about that one. It sounds kind of similar to the V. Schwab one where there's like 3 different women connected somehow in a spooky way, so that'll be kind of interesting to compare them to, and they actually come out within like a month of each other, which is kind of interesting. Now on to August, we have The Theory of Drowning by Ava Reed. This is the sequel to A Study in Drowning by her, and as I mentioned before, I read A Study in Drowning this past year and I absolutely loved it, so I'm very excited for it to continue. I don't know how it's going to. I don't necessarily feel like it needed to continue. I will still read it. I really like the 2 main characters a lot and we'll see what happens. The next book in August is coming out on the 28th and that is Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I haven't read a single book by them before. I really want to read Babel and I really want to read The Poppy War. I just feel like there's such intense books, especially The Poppy War, that I'm kind of nervous to get into it, but the premise of this book sounded really intriguing. It says, Catabasis, noun, ancient Greek. The story of a hero's descent to the underworld. 2 academic rivals from Cambridge must travel to hell to rescue the soul of their advisor. Getting there was easy, surviving it and each other is another thing entirely. This sounds very interesting to me. It kind of, in a way, it reminded me a little bit of Vicious by V. Schwab, just in the enemies, dark academia type vibe, but also with like magical realism as well. It sounded very interesting. There's no cover yet for it. I'm sure the cover is going to be amazing because her covers are always really intriguing. All right, we have 2 more books to talk about, and the next one is coming out on September 9th, and that is Hot Wax by ML Rio. I loved If We Were Villains by ML Rio, and I also read Graveyard Shift by ML Rio that just came out this past year, and I really liked that one as well. I'm just very picky with the horror thriller genre, and I really like their writing a lot. So this book, when I look up the synopsis, it says that this book is a nostalgic love letter to the 90s rock and roll scene. Hot Wax follows a band of rocker misfits, rivals, and trailblazers on the tour that could have catapulted them into superstardom if it all hadn't come crashing down. That just sounds very intriguing. It sounds kind of like a Daisy Jones and the Six thriller. That sounds amazing, honestly. I don't know why that hasn't been done yet. Maybe it has been. Has in real life, I'm sure. I'm excited to read a book like that. I think that'll be really fun. I love their writing. I think they're a really good storyteller. And the final book I'm going to mention actually doesn't have a release date. It just says sometime in 2025. And that is Heartstopper Volume 6, the final installment of the Heartstopper series. I love those graphic novels so much. I love Nick and Charlie. I just think they're the cutest. I love all the characters in that series. It just really makes my heart feel so warm. I'm very excited for that. It's by Alice Oseman if you haven't read them yet. The Netflix show is so cute as well. I'm sad it's all coming to a close, but I love that series and I should probably reread those next year because they make me so happy. All right, guys, that is it for the 2025 book releases, but I kind of wanted to talk about some adaptations that may or may not be coming out next year, which I'm very excited about. I'm just gonna run through these really fast because if I'm gonna be quite honest, I've had to refilm this video twice now and I'm actually dead. I feel like really nasally. I don't know if you can hear it, but I don't know what's going on with me. So I'm just gonna run through these really fast. Okay, starting off with one I'm probably the most excited about, and that is Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3. I cannot wait for this. It's gonna be Connie Baby season. I can't wait. It's gonna be so good. I love that TV show so much. I read all the books and I didn't love the books, but I really love the TV show. I think it's so fun. Very excited for that. This one, it says it's expected to premiere in 2025 on Disney Plus, and that is Percy Jackson's Sea of Monsters. We'll see if it premieres next year. Not 100% sure about that. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I've only read the first 2 Percy Jackson books, and I do really like that series. I do want to continue them, but I kind of want to read the books and then watch the series. The next adaptation is Children of Blood and Bone. When I looked this up, it said that there's no date yet released, but that it's most likely coming out in 2025. All of these things I'm going to share are not set in stone. It's just like based off my research that I found. These are the answers I got. So we'll see if it's true. I don't know. But it said Children of Blood and Bone is coming out next year. So I haven't read that book yet. I really want to, but there you go. Then I found out Yellowface by R.F. Kuang is supposed to be a TV show coming out next year, but there's no date yet. Verity by Colleen Hoover. The rights were bought by Amazon MGM, and there's no date yet released. It looks like Anne Hathaway signed on to be the lead. And then next year in 2025 on Netflix, there's supposed to be a new Frankenstein that comes out with, I think, Jacob Elordi and some other people. That will be fun. And then The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, I believe, is going to have an adaptation that supposedly is coming out next year. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. When will that come out? I literally don't know. I don't know why it hasn't been out for years yet. I love that book. I feel like there has been like casting rumors about who's going to be Evelyn Hugo for years now. So we'll see if it actually comes out next year. I know there was some speculation online that it is going to, so we'll see. Wicked Part 2 is gonna come out in theaters. I'm very excited about that. And finally, the one I am most anticipated about, and I believe is coming out next year. If it doesn't come out next year, I'm gonna scream. But that is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I can absolutely not wait for this. I don't know, is it a movie or is it a series that's coming out? I actually don't know. I believe it's coming out on Netflix, so I'm not sure, but I cannot wait. I've seen the behind the scenes clips of it being filmed and I'm so excited. That's one of my favorite Emily Henry books and I just know it's gonna be amazing. I love Tom Blythe, so there you go. All right guys, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I am so excited for some of these new releases for 2025. If there are some that you have on your list that you're excited for that I didn't mention, please let me know. I would love to hear about other new releases that are coming out that you're excited for. And please make sure if you like this video, if you wanted to subscribe, that would mean so much to me. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.